giờ nghĩ phim mình đang làm có đúng hay sai không?
Dear Veronica Ngo, some follow-up questions regarding Furies.
I couldn't quite gauge the length of that stiletto.
There's just loads of people who are assassins, mate.
참 잘해, 니네 엄마. I am the most complete fighter in the world. Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
You can call it the art of fighting without fighting.
Stick around. Some motherfuckers are always trying to ice skate on me.
Dodge this.
Welcome back to Dodge This Action Movies Unleashed Season 2, Episode 5. If you've been counting, there was maybe a tiny little extra gap there, but to make up for it, we've jam-packed this episode with 2 films from Vietnam and South Korea. We've got Furies, we've got Kill BOKSOON. But why, Simon? Because I feel like if you had to, you could say they were both about female assassins. No one asked, that's the answer. Joining me, as ever, from across the Sea of Dreams, aka the English Channel, is my good friend Matthew Heighton.
Hello, and here I am over the channel. As you can tell by the classic British chatter behind me. Oh, you're all right, Governor. Oh, have a little cup of tea over there.
Fish and chips.
Yeah.
Daddy, apples and pears.
You boy, what day is this? Why, today
a red
is
telephone
podcast
box.
Day. See, and I'll close the door.
I miss that. I do miss all of that. Whereas behind me, obviously, is just loads of Dutch stuff.
Yeah. Which sounds like...
And no one's got anything. Ja, okay. Ja, lekker man. De grote windmill. They don't call it a windmill, for one. So, okay. Well, now that I've alienated the entire Dutch listenership, apologies for that. Welcome. It's episode 5. Whew, we got a lot to get through. And also, it's been... I don't know if anyone counts as much as we do, but it has been slightly longer since the last one. Apologies for that. You know, sometimes life gets in the way. But what it does mean, Matt, is you've probably had so much time to devour entire seasons of things that no one asked you to.
Yeah, I have actually.
Have you? Great news.
I've been watching a lot. I've watched a lot of films, actually.
Oh, yeah.
Recent films. Watched Evil Dead Rise yesterday.
Okay, I'd like to hear about that, please.
I very much enjoyed it. It is not the Evil Dead of old.
Is it a lol fest?
Well, this is the thing. I would say it was low on lols, but the tone is... There is an undercurrent of the original tone. Like, it's such like the last one, the Evil Dead remake of however many years ago.
I did not see that one either, unfortunately.
Which is, again, it's a good horror, but I think there's just something so Evil Dead-y about the tone of Evil Dead, especially if you, even modern, like Ash vs. Evil Dead, which is phenomenal. It definitely misses a bit of that. But as a horror, I really just enjoyed it. Very efficient, 90 minutes. All self-contained inside of like one floor of an apartment building, except for a little vignette at the beginning. So it is a very, very good film, and so much blood.
Any chainsaws?
Yep. They have got both chainsaw and boomstick, and a few nice nods to the originals, and they do feel like they're expanding on the world. I am yet to do some Googling on this, but the Necronomicon, I don't think was the original Necronomicon, as it did not have the face, and it did mention it was one of 3. So I am wondering if they're trying to expand this.
Any skeletons?
No skeletons. So, like I say, it was very big on gore. If you are squeamish, there is a few times I audibly went, oh! Genuinely,
that's a good review, I think, for a horror film, right? Just and the noises of horror. Oh, yeah.
There's But I don't go in expecting old Evil Dead, but if you like that world, I think allowing it to be its own version of that universe is very enjoyable.
Fair play, actually.
Yeah, and I also last week watched the Super Mario movie.
Of course you did.
Yeah.
And is it the best thing in the world since the Sonic 2 movie?
It is fine.
fine.
Yeah, it's fine. If I was 10 years old, this would be the best film I'd ever seen.
I think it's going to be the biggest film of the year, though, isn't it? Or something.
Yeah, I mean,
like,
it's smashing the
absolutely
box
ridiculous.
office. But I mean, it's good. It's absolutely Mario.
If you had to sum up Evil Dead in the sound, how would you sum up the Mario Brothers movie?
Oh,
there you go. Yeah, that's all I wanted.
yeah.
Let's go.
What have you been watching?
Well, I, like a very smart person, forgot to write this down in the document. But as we were chatting, I remembered that several weeks ago, in my classic hope that we would do an episode about it, I watched the new Jackie Chan movie, Ride On.
Oh, you
Ride
did.
On. Ride On. About, we watched the trailer a while back, and it was one of those where we were like, okay, could go either way. It's about like a sort of washed up stuntman, sort of paying homage to the olden classic days of the Hong Kong stuntmen. And it sounds great on paper, but really it's a sort of family comedy about a man and a horse, and he sort of talks to his horse a lot, and then the horse does, like human-like things. And then like 3 times throughout the movie, there's a sort of like a scuffly fight scene that is, some might argue, crowbarred in to please people like me and his old fans, I guess. And, it's just sort of fine. It's fine. It's so difficult to kind of objectively review it. Like, he's old. I imagine he doesn't really want to do a lot of fighting in these movies anymore. It seems like if it was up to him, he would just make like family comedies or dramas. But
I think
guess
that's what he's always loved, hasn't he?
No one's going to go and see that, though, are they?
He loves Buster Keaton and stuff, so he loves like physical comedy.
But there's not enough of that in it, is what I'm saying. Like that's what we want to see from it.
You were laughing to yourself when you remembered a horse doing human-like things. So you did enjoy it.
I really did give it the benefit of the doubt at the beginning, but as it went on, it was just too much. Like there's like an estranged daughter, and there's like, it just. It's
If you weren't a cynical person, do you think you would have enjoyed it?
I think anyone who's been a fan of Jackie Chan since the 1980s will be like, well, we had a good run and it ended about 10 years ago, but we've all got a special place in our heart.
In a noise?
Oh,
that's that was sad and then nice. Mm-hmm. Anything else?
I cannot remember watching anything else, but I definitely have. I definitely have watched a few things. I've started watching the new season of Dave. That's just a delight. It's just one of my favorite things on TV whenever it's on. The sort of a comedy about Lil Dicky, the rapper that he created and stars in. Very silly, but very funny. Nothing else. No other action rejects, I don't think.
I should tell you what else I made as sounds wrong, but I did make my wife watch RRR.
Oh, well, my girlfriend also watched it as well. Since we went on a trip to India and we're going on another one, she was like, "You won't stop going on about it. I have to watch it."
Yeah, I made my wife and her friend watch it, and they both really enjoyed it.
Did they?
Yeah.
Well, that's good. My girlfriend very much liked the story and the friendships and the music, and very much didn't like how violent and bloody occasionally was.
Occasionally.
Yeah.
All the way through.
She had to leave the room during the whipping scene.
She definitely would not like Evil Dead Rise.
I don't think that's even on the radar. But to be fair, I've remembered something else I watched actually, which I would have liked to speak about on the podcast, but it's actually the first time we've come up against this problem because it's streaming on High R. The movie is Fist of the Condor, which we also watched the trailer for a while back.
Yeah,
Marco Zaror's little indie thing. And because High R is a US-only streaming service, I have to use a VPN to watch it, and Matthew doesn't have a VPN. So even if I was nice enough to let him have my login to High R, he still can... Anyway, didn't get to see it, but I did watch it, and I enjoyed it. It's It's a sort of very throwbacky, homage-y love letter to the olden days of Shaw Brothers and sort of classic kung fu cinema, told through a Chilean lens, whatever that means.
Okay.
I think they've done a good job. Apparently it was also made during COVID when apparently they weren't even allowed to be filming or doing stuff outside. So with that in mind, they've actually done a very good job of it. It's got some really nice stuff in it and some really silly stuff. And yeah, it sort of knows what it is, but it takes itself very seriously. But it comes in at like a solid 80 minutes. Before you know it, you're like, completed it. Lovely. Let's get through it. I mean,
that.
If every other movie we watched could be 80 minutes, I think I'd get through so many more.
There are so many non-80-minute films, though.
Nothing's doing 80 minutes these days. Everything's 2.5 hours, innit? I haven't got the time currently. Maybe soon in the future I will have.
I've just been watching series otherwise. Finished watching Picard. That was very fun. Best Picard has ever been that season. Very good.
Fair play.
But yeah, nothing podcast podworthy. That's
fine. This is the outside the podcast section. I'm 2 episodes away from the end of Ozark. This is how long it's taken me to get back to Ozark. It's really good. Really
Still
good.
not done the end of
I was really
Cobra
tempted.
Kai.
Really tempted the other day to do it, and then I forgot. I got distracted by something. That's the other problem.
There's another series coming out soon.
Like everyone else in the world, I will sit down with like 2 hours before I have to go to bed. And then I'll be like, now is when I should put the movie on. I should start now. And then you just a lot of scrolling through menus, having a look at your phone. And then you're like, oh, it's 45 minutes. Now I don't really have time to watch that movie. That is basically me about 10 p.m. every day.
Well, this is a bit of real insight, isn't it?
apart from the night, I'm working, I'm not at home, but yeah.
And then I've got to get up 9 times to the toilet, and me bloody hips killing me. And
welcome to the Two Old Fucks podcast. Oh wait, that is most podcasts actually, isn't it? I don't think we're really standing out with that. Shall we get into some trailers, because there's a whole bunch to get through.
There's loads of these bad boys.
Here we go. We got 5 trailers to get through. Let's smash it. I should have put them maybe in the order of excitement, so there's some sort of journey, but this is quite a roller coaster, I think. Let's start with the big boy. Extraction 2. We got the full teaser. It's still not a full trailer. It's just a sort of a big bit of action, and then
it's kind of like a scene, isn't it?
Yes, it is a bit like a scene, yeah.
Like it's the whole scene.
It's a bit like a whole scene.
You know?
Tyler Rake. His name is Rake. Does he kill someone with a rake in the first movie? You better watch it to find out, Matt. But let me tell you this much. You're not going to be disappointed about that. Yeah, it was the first one, a surprise Netflix breakout delightful hit. Sam Hargrave.
Still not watched it.
You got to watch it before you watch the second one, so you know what you're in for. I'm very excited about this. I think the first one was sort of came out of nowhere and announced the arrival of more 8711 guys making really solid movies. This is Sam Hargrave, who's also an ex-stunt performer, much like your man Chad Stahelski. And I think he really nailed it. So there's some really good action in it. It wasn't like the best movie in the world, but there was some really great stuff. Anyway, it's your classic Netflix, throw more money at it. Let's go bigger. Let's go. And this, so far,
look good. You know what? I didn't hate this trailer. I will watch this film. I might even watch the first one first.
I would recommend it, but I feel like already in the trailer, you know everything else. Aside from him saying his name is Tyler Rake, that's all you need to know. Yeah, I mean, you have to hope, much like the John Wicks of the world, aka the John Wick franchise, they know what it is now. They know what people want, and they're just going to do that. I will say, my only slight concern is that in the first one, there was like a 10-minute sort of quote-unquote one take, which, had cuts in it, but it was made to look like it. And apparently in this one, there's like a quote-unquote 17-minute one take, which, I mean, I hope it's great, but I've also watched Carter in the last year, and if that's taught me anything, it's just sometimes cut, mate. Just sometimes it's better to have a cut. You're not impressing anyone after a certain point, but they did it great in the first one, and this one looks They know what they're doing. Also, was it just me, or at the end of this trailer, did it look like they'd cut a scene out of Pathan where he was stood on a train shooting a chain gun at a helicopter, and then there was like a little theme, like a little la 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 la. It was like the Pathan music. It was so similar.
It's a bit ridiculous.
It was so close.
Maybe we finally getting the Western Bollywood influence.
I think we're at the point where they're going to start overlapping a bit. And even the action scene did have that very like visceral Bollywoody vibe. Not everyone was attached to wires and flipping over and stuff. But yeah, I definitely think, the crews are working on these movies in Bollywood and then going to work in movies in Hollywood. I definitely think they're getting closer and closer together. Anyway, Extraction 2, excited. It's out not till June, I don't think. Let's move on.
I hope it's Extraction to extract this. That's what I hope. Very
good. Extract harder?
Yeah.
Live free or extract hard? What else? What else have we got? Extraction with a vengeance. Next up, we've had a lot of movies in the last 10 years about old guys coming back out of retirement and duffing a lot of people up. I feel like almost saying this now. I've foreshadowed one of our other trailers.
2 of our other trailers you foreshadowed.
Oh, that's true. But also, more recently, we've had the same thing with Ladies. This trailer is The Mother. It's got Jennifer Lopez, and she is a mum who's got a very special set of skills.
I think this genre should be called Mum with a Gun.
I'm not mad at it.
Mum with a Gun would be a great film.
I mean, it sort of does tie quite nicely into Kill BOKSOON as well, to be fair.
Yeah. Mum with a Gun.
I will say, Lopez puts the work in. We know that she's a great physical performer. She's an incredible dancer. So you would hope she's pretty tasty in a fight scene, which it looks like this movie might have some of. Don't know much about it. For me, what stood out from this trailer was there's just one really blatant shot of her bum. Did you clock that?
Yeah.
It felt like, is this like a knowing wink or...
Feels like it was part of a bigger shot that would probably pan up.
Yeah, but they just didn't. It was just like, oh, also remember Jennifer Lopez's bum. That's also in this movie. If that's what's going to get you into the theatre. Yeah. I thought that was very strange.
It was a weird cut. But yeah, don't know if I'm over the moon about this movie. I'll probably watch it. But yeah, it looks like a lot of other films, like is it Hannah and things like that?
Yes. And that other one that I watched recently with Alison Janey in it, where she also is a mum with a gun, sort of.
So you're saying it works.
It's already caught on. That was fast. Yeah, I feel like these ones are these sort of Netflix movies. You never know whether it's like, oh, this is a delightful surprise, or oh, this is based off Jennifer Lopez's documentary doing really well on Netflix, and them going immediately put a movie into production with Lopez on it.
Should we write it or just let the AI algorithm work its thing?
That is exactly where we're at these days. If I didn't have access to Rotten Tomatoes, I would watch this to find out. But since I do, I will do that first, because I probably would have watched Ghosted if I didn't have access to reviews on the internet. And they have swiftly saved me 2+ hours, I think, this week.
Yeah, it's been panned, hasn't it?
Yeah, we watched the trailer for that last time and we're like, and all the reviews appear to be, like, this movie is like it was written by ChatGPT. So steer clear. I hope The Mother is better than that. I do like Lopez as an actress. Yeah, she's been in lots of good stuff.
We're doing this trailer down. It looks
solid.
It's one of those, it could go either way. Chances are it'll be absolutely fine.
Absolutely fine.
Which is sometimes enough, as we have said before.
That's absolutely true. It is. Let's move on. New TV series, or as they call it, a limited event.
Yeah,
basically.
3-parter, innit?
3-episode TV show, right? Or 3 feature lengths? We don't know.
3 feature length movies with slightly less budget than what we would normally spend.
Than a movie should have, yeah. It's the Continental brackets from the world of John Wick.
And it looks great.
It's a teaser. We know it's got a hotel in it, and we know it's set in the 70s.
Yeah.
And we know there's guns and a sword.
Yeah.
So, check.
And judging off the outfit, we know someone is playing young Ian McShane.
Great news. Great news. That's literally all we know. I haven't read up on anything about any more plot stuff.
Yeah.
The teaser is just kind of like, you guys, this is coming out. So
Clearly set at the Continental. We're not sure if the breakfast is involved, but maybe it is. We don't know.
We never found out, actually. Through 4 movies, we never found out if breakfast is included.
It's got to be at those prices.
Yeah, God, I would hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is just going to be... I hate my default to be, I'm just going to see what the reviews say. Like that,
I'm going to watch this.
Can't make my own minds up. But
we said this when we were chatting the other week. John Wick has, for the last 2 films, certainly been world building to such an extent it is clear that this will not be the only limited series that comes out of this.
No chance.
Like, they're absolutely setting up for an absolute 10-year plan by the looks of things.
Oh yeah,
so
it's
this
the
is going to be
John Wick cinematic universe at this point, right?
So
yeah,
this is their toe in the water thing, isn't it? To see if that universe carries away from Keanu.
And you would hope, given that it's the first thing outside of the stable of the movies, you would hope that they won't fuck it up.
As long as there's a very long fall down some stairs, I'm happy.
That's all we want. But there's so many floors at the Continental. If they have like a spiral staircase, he could baby John Wick could. Will they have baby John Wick like Baby Yoda? Is that who's going to be in this one?
That's what it is. Yeah, exactly what it is.
Yeah, I'm going to watch it. I mean, I love the movie so much. I think it would be rude not to at this point. But yeah, I hope it's great. Again, they know who's coming to watch this and what they want. So
yeah,
I think it would be
it looks
fumble.
beautiful. It looks like it's been very lovingly put together. Let's hope that carries over.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
And to the other end of the scale, we are contractually obliged to talk about this because HRH Arnold Schwarzenegger is back in a Netflix series.
Is it a series?
Yes.
I thought it was a film
called FUBAR. As you said that, now I've immediately doubted myself. But
I don't know. I was so...
I think it's
confused
a series
by how this trailer was put together.
There's so much.
I'm going to say this, and I hate putting things down, but this was one of the worst put together trailers I've ever seen.
It's not great, is
they
it?
They basically cut away to the same person doing a version of the same punchline of a kind of joke.
That appears to be her main role.
6 times.
Yes,
yeah.
It is a series. It says, heroes don't retire. They reload. Arnold Schwarzenegger is starring in his first series ever. It's called FUBAR, and it seems to be cut from the same cloth as Ghosted, if the trailer is anything to go by. Sort of like there's a bit of action and there's a lot of quipping, and then, I don't know, we just sort of have to cruise on the good graces of Arnie alone. I don't know.
It looks to me like whoever made this really like Peacemaker. I got a bit of a little...
The TV show, not the George Clooney movie.
Yeah. Which, if you've not seen the series Peacemaker, is incredible.
It's batshit. It is batshit, actually. Yeah.
And they wanted that sort of kooky action vibe, but
they have not captured that.
Yeah.
That's a comic book, though. This is like he's got a daughter, and then he finds out his daughter's also in the CIA, and he's just retired, and I guess, hijinks ensue. And then that
I think
one
they're
lady...
find there's a lot they don't know about each other.
No, impossible. Over the 10 episodes. Yeah. I'm annoyed that I might watch the first episode. Just to see.
Absolutely. And then I'll probably annoyingly watch the whole thing.
You will watch 10 episodes in like a day. I'll watch one and be like, no, I'm not wasting my time on that. Thank you. But enough to have like the water cooler chat to be like, yeah, watch the first episode. No, I don't know. Let me tell you my thoughts on Jackie Chan. Yeah. Where's everyone going?
Come on, let's get through this final trailer.
Okay, speaking of people who have retired and also hard old guys, Denzel Washington is back in The Equalizer 3.
Sorry, I'm just giggling at hard old guys.
Hard old guys.
Sounds like something you should definitely not Google.
Well, a lot of old guys actually have trouble with that. So, The Equalizer 3, Denzel's back. Antoine Fuqua is back in the director's seat. I have enjoyed the two previous Equalizer movies.
I can't remember the second one.
No, all I remember is the second one where he duffs up a load of sort of coked up
Can't remember.
college sales guys, and then at the end it takes place in a kind of a tiny town that's been evacuated because of like a tornado or something.
So when you said you couldn't remember
Ringing
the
any
second film,
bells?
No, nothing.
I'm trying to drag you back with the only things I remember about it.
I remember the first one better. But
Yeah, the end of that one happens in B&Q, right?
Again.
It's got nothing. I think that is pretty much the summation.
First Equalizer?
God. I mean, maybe 10 years ago?
Yeah, it feels longer.
He wasn't young in the first one. I mean, now if you see like Denzel on the red carpet for somewhere, you're like, he is getting on a bit. But in the trailer,
I always feel like Denzel's only been around for about 20 years. But he's been around for ages, hasn't he?
He has been around for a while. And in fairness, the trailer looks like it's going to do everything. He's going to do all the equalizing. He's going to equalize harder. He's going to equalize this. He's going to live free and equalize hard.
You're equalized.
That's it. I didn't. I mean, Denzel's a great actor. He can pretty much do anything he wants. He must enjoy making these movies, or he's getting close to retirement and he's like, yeah, we'll take 20 million to do one more of these, I suppose.
I think this looks all right.
Yeah.
I do have a problem with the genre where it goes like, one of the worst killers you've ever met should have a nice life. I always at odds with that sort of plot line.
Wait, but didn't he work for the CIA? I think he wasn't.
But
he's not like an assassin.
Murdering a lot of people.
He does. He definitely has murdered some people, for sure.
And now what? Now he's old. He wants peace.
He just wants to retire to
retired
a little
heroes
Italian
don't
town.
retire, Simon. They reload.
Denzel Washington is back in his first ever TV series featuring hijinks, action, and Marvel level quips. No, this one looks fairly quipless. Anyway, The Equalizer 3, are we going to watch it? Probably, but we'll caveat it with if it gets dogshit reviews, I'll say I'm not going to watch it and then watch it when it's on streaming invariably. Good night. A lot of trailers. A lot of people coming back. A lot of sequels. Let's get into our double feature presentation.
And now, our feature presentation.
Dodge this.
All right, here we are. It's been a while since we've done a double feature, and this one felt apt since they have both landed on Netflix in recent months. From Vietnam, from last year technically, but recently on Netflix, it's Furies, the prequel to the Vietnamese movie Fury. I think I might have forgotten how to talk halfway through that sentence, but I doubt anyone noticed.
It all felt right.
Pretty good. And also Kill BOKSOON, which dropped on Netflix very recently from South Korea. They're both about female assassins, but I would say they could not be more different. For a bit of perspective, I watched Furies probably 2 weeks ago, and I watched Kill BOKSOON last night. And conversely, Matthew watched Kill BOKSOON a couple of weeks ago, and Furies last night / today. So I feel like that will inform how much we remember about them.
Yeah, I would say so. Which one do you want to start with?
Well, the one that's furthest in my memory is Furies and closest in your brain box. So why don't we start there?
Yeah.
Furies.
Yeah.
Do you want to do one of your classic Matthew Heighton plot sum-ups?
Yeah,
We haven't
sure.
had one of those in a while, have we?
To paraphrase the protagonist in the film, this is a film about a girl who was born in the darkness. Her life has been shrouded in darkness.
Ooh.
She has a very hideous start to the world, her mother being a prostitute who is working right next to her whilst she is a baby girl. And when she's a little bit older, one of her
Grim
clientele does try some horrible things with said girl, and it results in the death of her mother and her running onto the streets. Ultimately, she is taken in by a mysterious figure who seems to be able to fight, who suggests to her that maybe the problem is the gangs that run the streets, specifically this one gang run by a lot of horrible men who traffic and sort of almost imprison women to work in their brothels.
Horrible men.
She is flung into a small apartment with 2 other women who are also kick-ass fighters. She is trained up in a lovely montage, and they go after the gang one by one whilst revealing some secrets along the way, which ultimately lead to the conclusion.
Very good. Like that, actually, as a sum up. Very strong, yeah. Okay, and that's the brass tacks of the plot. So I suppose I'll paint in some outside the lines type stuff. This is a sequel to a movie from, let me just
2019, wasn't it?
Double check the year there. From just going to scroll down there, and it's what Matthew said, 2019.
Yeah.
Wasted everybody's time. To a Vietnamese movie called Fury, where Veronica Ngo, don't know how to quite pronounce NGO. Veronica Ngo played the lead role in Fury, which is about a mummy whose daughter gets kidnapped, and then she goes absolutely bloody nuts.
Mum with a gun.
Trying to get her back. Yes, exactly that. And Veronica Ngo comes back in this one to direct and to play the teacher lady, the looking after lady. How would you describe her?
The
mother figure.
Well, that is, they call her auntie for one.
Okay, yeah, fair play.
But also, the sensei almost. What was the word we're looking for here?
I don't know. I feel like we're dancing around it. Anyway, but it takes place in the 1980s, so this is like a prequel. And it's the first Vietnamese movie made specifically for Netflix. That's what I've learned. The other one was on Netflix, but I guess it was made, then bought by Netflix. This, clearly, Netflix's algorithm was like, enough people have watched Fury, here's some money, spend it all on fluorescent lights and make a sequel.
Yeah, that is a very, in one of my favourite recent genres. It's all blue and pink. It's all John Wick 1.
Even the poster is like half blue and pink. If RRR was fire and water, this movie is blue and pink. Yeah. John Wick's use of fluorescent RGB lights has a lot to answer for, not least in this movie. But it's quite a low budget movie. You know, it's out of Vietnam. They make lots of movies, but they're not to sort of, not to get ahead of ourselves, but like South Korea's industry is much bigger, production value is much higher. This, I would call it like a scrappy contender, you know? It's doing everything it can with its limited resources. Lots of small sets of, rooms.
But they look incredible, the sets. I will give them that. Their sets, whoever was responsible of making things look dirty in this film.
That's true. It put me in mind of The Raid a lot.
Yeah, it put me in the mind of
because
The Raid
I was like, I wonder if they've just borrowed some of these like sets from Indonesia.
They've also, with the limited sets, which have limited size, like the whole final sequence is essentially a corridor, a kind of corridor and a balcony in a room. Yeah. So they've clearly gone, this is what we have, let's make the best use of that.
Absolutely.
The biggest strength of this film is how they enact violence in different places.
They do, Matt. They do, as you say, enact some violence in this movie.
Yeah.
It doesn't hold back. Like you said in your plot summary there, it's quite graphic in a number of ways, and it does sort of to the point where I was like, this is maybe a bit much at times. It doesn't sort of hold back on showing you the quote unquote realities.
Yeah, it's a horrible part of the world.
There's a lot of just sort of sexual violence and that sort of thing, which just, it left a bit of a bad taste. I was like, I know that's like what the plot is, but like, it is also like an action movie. We're not trying to like do social commentary too much here. And some of it felt a little bit OTT in that department.
That was the hardest thing to watch. And it's not just the on-screen gratuity of it. It's more the fact that they didn't hold back with the PTSD of it.
Yeah.
Like the way she responds to certain situations in her sort of early adult life to what's happening in her childhood. Like that felt very visceral and real. And like her PTSD, because of things going on in the plot, had really real world consequences in the plot. So it's like that was really hard to watch. Sort of someone who's never been given a chance in life is always fighting and always downtrodden and can never really leverage themselves against these horrible people. And because you always wanted to root for them to do the whole, they'll just take everyone down one by one. But this film is very good at keeping it quite real in terms of, oh yeah, you were going to get hurt and you were going to get into situations that are not easy to get out of. Yeah. And that was, that like you say, it didn't leave me a bad taste, but it did make me go, oh shit, at times.
Yeah. And I think it's like in a different movie that those sort of PTSD scenes would have been like, oh, okay, yeah, I totally get it. But it's when it's juxtaposed with the sort of Charlie's Angels getting ready montage and stuff where like tonally you're just like, whoa, what are we, is this like a fun, like girl power, or is it like irreversible, or like it's just
it's very far from irreversible.
It's very it swings for the fences quite a lot.
But I think because I disagree there, I think it's quite balanced. And I think they do have these weird sort of like girls are doing it like having fun sort of, girls are doing it, couldn't get the sentence out of that, girls having fun sort of, and capturing sort of that goofiness of youth in a sort of really weird sort of situation. I think what that gave to the film is there was more to lose, because the way she comes into this group and these people, she has nothing to lose. So to give her essentially family and friendship, and to see that when there are losses or casualties in this film, which there are, spoilers, you feel it more and you understand that, oh shit, can't this woman have one good thing in her life?
Can't she catch
a break? I think
that
is a very smart decision on behalf of the filmmaker.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think it's building those sort of dramatic beats do make the action scenes like hit harder. And I think in Kill BOKSOON especially, that leans into that so much more.
Yeah.
There's an argument that is Kill BOKSOON, and this is coming from me, is it an action movie? I mean, it is an action movie, but it's also
definitely
like
a drama.
A drama, in fairness, it is also probably over half an hour longer than Furies, so it has a little bit more space to explore different.
But I thought
bits,
Furies was very efficient, to the point where they were doing some scenes where they could have easily lingered and made it half an hour more. They just sort of went in and out in 4 sentences, and like, that's the information you need. You don't need much more. Let's move on. Yeah. Like, even to the point where, and it becomes an analogy in the film, they show the passing of time from a daisy growing and stuff like that. They give you all the information you need to understand what's happening and how long it's happening. And I think to its strength, especially given we like action films.
Do we?
I think so. I think it knew that was its strength. Its strength was always in, they have some very good choreographers. I always struggle with that word. Choreographers, very good choreographers on the set of this film. And when they do the fight scenes are brilliant. They're really contained. They really know, again, they've got some beautiful sort of old boy Daredevil style, very close quarters fighting, stuff like that. It always feels quite claustrophobic. It always feels like they're in a bad place and they shouldn't be there. And they always feel like they're driving forward. And I think for that, everything works. The only thing that didn't work for me, and again, it's not its fault, it was budget things. They had a very odd CG bike chase.
Yeah.
Which was again, if I made that, I'd be so impressed.
Exactly. Yeah.
But like, it just felt so out of place suddenly, like everything being very real and very graphic to suddenly being very sort of mid-noughties Rubber Man.
Yeah, there was a part of me that just kind of was like, well, you know what? They were like, we can't afford this, but fuck it, we're doing it anyway. Yeah. And I quite liked, that's why I kind of I called it like scrappy. I mean, it's not, there clearly is money behind it and it's a well-made movie, but like there's not enough budget for an almost entirely CGI generated motorbike chase. And yet one exists in the movie where you're just like, okay, well, I guess this is what it is, and fair play to you, because you've really gone for it.
They really did go for it, and it wasn't short, that chase.
No, I think that was the beauty of it, was that they were just like, look, this is as good as we can afford.
But again, like you look at that and you go, this is like, they kept the adrenaline in that chase scene. It just looked obviously a little bit sort of uncanny valley. Like, it was much better than the one in Book of Boba Fett. I'll give it that.
Wow. Okay.
But yeah, like, it is. I mean, there's not much to dwell on with this film. It's if you like slick choreographed fights, this is a good film. I thought this was a 4-star film. I thought
interesting.
It did everything it needed to do very efficiently, and it never sort of overstayed its welcome.
Yeah,
it's good. I don't have many issue with it.
I think there's absolutely no doubt that it does exactly what it says on the tin. Like, we watched the trailer a while back, and it delivers neon drenched action. Like, to sort of drill down like a little bit on it, I think like the end boss fight was really good, and I think what that made me think was there was a bit of a lack of one-on-one fighting up until that point.
Yeah, there's a lot of group fights.
There's a lot of kind of melee stuff, and where there's the 3 of them, and it's like goes from there to there, and there's a corridor, and like there's just 10, bad guys running at them. And those are like, okay, this is like fun, but it didn't do anything that I hadn't really seen before. Then the end fight, which I really liked the fight, I didn't like the plot twist that got us to that fight.
Yeah, same.
I didn't
was a
quite
bit like,
buy that. Yeah. But I was like, well, the fight that it got us was really good and probably the best fight in the movie. But it felt like really the whole movie, and now you just kind of pull the rug out from under us. I didn't love that.
Yeah, that was the one thing that made me go, okay. But
all right, I let you have the bike chase, you guys, but don't take the piss.
Don't mess with my emotions. But I'll say this, because normally I really hate this style, but their way they move the camera around the body during a fight in some very interesting, like, without cutting, like properly following the action sequence. It was a very active camera, and it added so much to it. I think, again, this film knew what it had to its strength. Like, when they were putting this together, they knew they had good fighters, and they had, good camera people.
Yeah, everybody like trained up for 3 or 4 months apparently before this. I don't know what the girls, I say the girls, like the 3 young girls, I don't know if they are fighters, but they're like, they all look good in the movie. And Veronica Go looked great in Fury, and does
great montage as well. Great montage in this.
It is a good montage. It's just very like tonally, it didn't really sit in the movie.
I think
that had so much sexual assault in it. It just seemed like a very odd place for that sort of like bubblegum Walkman dancing type montage.
Yeah, it was, but again, I quite liked it.
Yeah, I will say it absolutely delivers.
Any action replays? Can you remember?
I should have written it down. I will say, I can't remember one particular move. The end fight is very good, and the chutzpah of the bike chase, just for doing it.
Yeah.
Just for being like, look, this is what it is, you guys.
For me, has the best man killed by a stiletto kick in any film.
Okay, please remind me. I have not logged that in my brain.
The very bubblegummy one of the 3, as you have termed the term. She kicks someone in the chin, and the stiletto goes under the chin, and obviously into the brain, if I had to guess.
Directly into the brain.
I think so.
I don't know if a stiletto would reach from there to your brain, but I like...
Depends what inch that stiletto is.
That's true.
Also, your brain's
12-inch stiletto.
Don't have to go right to the top of the brain.
Just needs to tickle it, and you're a goner, mate.
Yeah.
You can't mess about with it.
Might not have been the brain. She might have snapped the spine straight from the nervous system. We can't see inside it. This is not Mortal Kombat.
Dear Veronica Go, what are some follow-up questions regarding Furies?
I couldn't quite gauge the length of that stiletto, but if you look at my 9 diagrams I've sent you,
I think it is scientifically impossible to murder a human with a stiletto through the lower jaw when the brain is located 8 inches away.
I don't think it is.
Please write in. Please tweet us.
Regardless, it's not a pleasant thing to endure. If they do survive.
It's quite grotty, actually. Like a lot of the kills are quite bloody and if there was a sound, there's a lot of like, yeah.
I think we've covered Furies. I don't think there's much more.
It's a definite recommend from me. I gave it on Letterboxd, where Matthew now exists. I believe I gave it a 3.5 star. I
gave it a 4 Simons out of 5.
That's just for a bit of perspective as we head into the second movie about a female lady assassin / mum with a gun, Kill BOKSOON. I sort of said it as if there was going to be a fanfare, so I think retrospectively now I'll have to put some sort of fanfare sound in there. This one is out of South Korea, and as I said before, this season alone, we have touched on a couple of South Korean movies that I obviously can't remember as I've said it out loud, but I feel like in recent episodes, we've covered a solid batch of South Koreas.
South Korea's having a renaissance.
The Killer, Project Wolf Hunting. We had Special Delivery. They've all, I think this is like when we talked about Indian cinema, we're like, oh goodness, it turns out they make a lot of movies. But I think maybe Netflix has a lot to thank for bringing a lot of South Korean stuff.
Yeah, Netflix is importing things. But South Korea's been having certainly the last 20 years for Western audiences, since all the Asian Eye days of early DVDs, they have churned out some amazing stuff over the years. But
your sort of K-pops and your K-dramas are now being sort of bubbled up by Netflix.
And stuff like that. So, yeah.
It feels like now more than ever, the South Korean cinema has sort of taken center stage. And I think this is a great example of I don't know if this was made for Netflix or this was bought by Netflix, but to compare it to Furies, this is, I would say, like a medium budget movie. Like, this has high production value, contrasting Furies' kind of small boxy looking sets. This has grand big studio sets. This is sort of really impressive cinematography at times, believable CG, and is a sort of, I think, a much grander vision that takes in action, drama, oddly like one or two comedy beats that did feel slightly out of place. But I really enjoyed Kill BOKSOON to start us off. But let's do the
plot.
Matt Heighton plot recap.
Okay, this has been about 2-3 weeks. So, Jill BOKSOON, the titular character, is basically an assassin who is coming to maybe the end of her glory days. She's getting a bit long in the tooth, but in terms of assassin prowess, she is an absolute legend, pretty much regarded as one of the greatest assassins in South Korea. Now, at the time of this, South Korea's assassin world is ran by basically one giant company who got all the assassin companies into one place, came up with a series of rules that meant they would thrive, make money, and sort of keep everything fair. Except it's not fair, because people trying to break into this world don't get any opportunity, and their careers can be entirely stifled, creating some people who are quite bitter on the lower rungs of this world. Jill BOKSOON goes against one of the rules and ultimately is targeted by the assassin community whilst reinventing this whole entire world. And all running through this action plot line, it's about her coming to terms with she has a teenage daughter she wants to be a better mother to, and ultimately the love for her daughter wants to get her out of this world, but her boss, who is also her teacher, she is his protege, doesn't want her to leave because he is clearly in love with her.
Great. Another textbook sum up from Matthew Heighton there. I'm talking as if there's applause underneath, and God damn it, in the edit, I imagine there will be. Great stuff, Matt. Yeah, you absolutely fully covered that, haven't you? Yeah. It's tonally, I think, I feel like it's interesting just to contrast it with Furies, so that if people are deciding which one to watch. I feel, do people do that, or do they watch them and then listen to the pod? Let us know in the comments section, which doesn't exist on a podcast. I think this one strikes a slightly different tone, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's definitely lighter.
It's sort of lighter. It also has a little element of that world building that we talked about in much the same way that, like, you know, the Wick, God forbid we don't talk about John Wick for one episode. But it's done so much for world building, I suppose, that this world of assassins, it's almost like a union of assassins, isn't it?
Yeah.
That then becomes this sort of conglomerate that controls everything, that just sort of exists in society. There's just loads of people who are assassins, mate, and they're all very polite to each other, and they've got a lovely big office and shiny floors, and they just operate like Amazon or something. You just order one, and then if you get Assassin Prime, it is there the next day. But yeah, I think this handles the drama very well. I guess, again, like South Korea, just cranks out drama, and the star of this movie, whose name is John Do-yoon, I have heard her described as the Meryl Streep of South Korean cinema. Like, she is a serious actor who doesn't do action movies. So she basically like took this movie to try something new, and, you know, did all the training, did as much physical stuff as she could. And so you get that sort of great action, because it's I think very well shot, the action, and some really nicely choreographed stuff, but also like she carries off the drama really well, I think. And there's scenes between her and her daughter, other assassins, her boss / mentor, the director of the company who's the boss's sister, and those bits that in a lesser movie of 2.25 hours that maybe has 4 action scenes sort of spread throughout the runtime might sag. For me, actually kind of kept it afloat, buoyed it quite nicely. I was never bored by the drama, which I think says a lot.
I was a bit the opposite. I wasn't bored, but I definitely think 20 minutes could have come out of this film. I
do agree. It could have been shorter.
I think
after all that, I'm immediately like, fuck whatever I said, actually. No. I stand by what I said, but it could have been shorter.
I think the drama gave it levity and it gave it real world stakes, but I feel like there was 2 films happening simultaneously, which I think is by design, because the whole thing is about her having this hidden life.
Absolutely.
And a lot of it is because in the backstory of BOKSOON, she is a natural killer. Like, she, in
That's
terms
right,
of this
yes.
company, she is born into this, and part of this is watching and wondering if genetically her daughter is also this, given what is going on in her own life.
Yes.
So it does tie into all sort of that fear of parenthood, of what have I passed on unknowingly to my child, and her trying to keep her work separate so her child doesn't suffer from the fact that she lives in this hideous world that she wants out of. Because BOKSOON, because of what assassination affords her, is living in high society with good schools and stuff like that.
She's got a lovely house, hasn't she?
Yeah, and she's got all these things, so she's trying to juggle those things.
My girlfriend was sat next to me, not watching it because it was an action movie, but sort of half watching it. And she was very impressed by BOKSOON's house.
Oh, it's lovely with its little
the
inner
interior
garden.
design. Oh, delightful. Yeah, really delightful.
Yeah, it was. If you're a fan of nice interiors, you will not.
Matt, I'm just trying to broaden the demographic that listens to this podcast. I think if you're a girl and you listen to this podcast,
Action
tweet
interiors could be a good spin-off,
Yes.
actually. The thing about the Nakatomi Plaza, it was very sleek and technologically driven for the time.
Say what you want about the Continental Hotel, but great architecture. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I rudely interrupted you.
No, it's absolutely fine. I think that the other thing that didn't sit for me in this film, and again, it's not a criticism of the film, it's just more of a thing. I don't feel like those 2 plot lines ever fully married together. They kind of did at the end.
Yeah.
But I felt there's a lack of resolution on the mother-daughter side of this, which I guess is an open-ended commentary on parenting and the fact that that is it. But I did want to see, because her daughter is awful at times, even though she is doing it through the lens of being a teenager who is also struggling with what appears to be in Korea still. I don't think their LGBT stuff is very forward. She comes out as gay, and BOKSOON reacts very badly at first, and then obviously does, which seems to be a commentary on generational lenses of that sort of how people perceive that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think like there could have just been something where they meet in the middle, and through honesty they found resolution. That aside, this is the thing. When I talk about this film and I think about the plot, the drama does sort of come through a lot, and I think that is to its strength. The action is very slick when it lands, but again, 20 minutes just to make sure that you're never too far away from those scenes would have been great, because the opening scene of this promises so big.
It's true,
really good sort of just seeing her at work.
And is almost slightly sort of, I would argue, slightly tonally different from the rest of the movie, because it's a bit tongue-in-cheek, isn't it? You know, it's a bit like, I don't know what to compare it to, but it has that sort of Kill Billy vibe.
I was going to say both these films had a Kill Bill to them, but it felt very much like it was almost directly nodding to Daryl Hannah's hospital appearance in Kill Bill
That's right. She's dressed as a maid, I think, in this, right?
Yeah, and it very much felt like... No, I think it was a nurse. I think it was very
Was it
much,
a nurse? Okay.
Yeah, and I think it felt very, Daryl Hannah, Kill Bill, which a lot of these films always do. Like Furies had a lot of Kill Bill to it as well.
Well, and I mean, Kill Bill owes almost every single thing in it to like a litany of movies previously, right? I mean, that whole movie is like an homage,
Lady Snowblood, all the Baby Cart films.
Yeah, exactly. I think it does, it sort of weaves in and out of that. Like you kind of think, oh, it's going to be quite knowing, and then it gets quite serious, and the family drama, and then occasionally it has those little nods of that knowing wink, or this tiny bit of humor, and like
the comedy, to its credit, sometimes it feels in an odd place, but it is very well done. Like there's two standout action scenes in this film. One of them is she drinks in a bar with these assassins who would love, like they're almost in awe of her legend, and I think that's why she drinks there, because she likes people to look at her that way.
Yeah.
And eventually there's a hit put on BOKSOON, and they know that this is their chance to make it big. So all friendship goes out the window. But the action / comedy beats are so well done in that film.
It's very darkly comic, that scene.
Yeah.
There's a couple of actual funny bits, And
I think for us as well, if you are going in because you want to see the action scenes, like I say, they are so well done when they're there. They just are a bit spread out. Like there's a scene with the director of the company when he goes on a job in Russia, and it is from start to finish, the whole scene is an absolute joy to watch.
Solid.
Like it's just perfectly executed.
Very Wick inspired, dare I say.
Yeah. You can't help but feel the John Wick universe has very much imprinted itself into this film.
For sure.
But there's not much really to say about this. I think it does everything. It narratively has a very straightforward story. The characters feel very solid and very well developed. The melodrama feels very rounded. Just like I say, just could have trimmed off 20 minutes and that would have put it up a star for me.
Interesting. Yeah, I wouldn't be mad if it came in at 2 hours or under. It's 2 hours 17 according to official sources. And I think I never felt like it dragged, but it did feel like a long movie. And I was quite happy with the resolution, actually. Also, I think about halfway through, having seen enough South Korean action thrillers, and I was like, okay, there's quite a lot of characters who we like. This is a South Korean movie. They're not held to fairy tale endings, Hollywood happy ending standards. They will happily slice up the characters that you love. People will be murdered, and I was quite pleased that it didn't have quite such a bleak outlook as many of the movies.
To his credit, there was like
I was quite pleased with how it tied up. Not to fully spoil if you haven't seen it, but it was nice that you just didn't come out going, oh boy, that is Yeah, okay, I guess fine, but come on, guys.
Yeah. There was some optimism to the murder.
Not to say that almost everyone in the movie doesn't die, but nonetheless, it does have quite an optimistic message.
The action resolution, let's call it, not the drama resolution, was very satisfying. The way that I was chatting to someone about narrative structure, as you do when you are as nerdy as me.
Boy.
We were talking about the idea of the middle point of a film being the point where the conclusion becomes inevitable. Like there is no other road other than to the end of the film. I think this film does that very well. There is a point where there's so many times that it could narrowly miss the mess that it's made, and it tries to, but ultimately, because of the actions of certain characters,
the ball gets rolling
to this conclusion. And it's done so well because of the way, in the same way John Wick does it, the rules of this world set in motion this path, and the characters manipulate it to happen. Yeah. And that in itself is very, very lovely to watch. And then the action scene that is sort of caps it all off. It does take a different sort of
visual approach.
And the pacing of it is great, because that was my action replay was going to be, they have a very good mechanism of BOKSOON to show why she's so good, which is she'll pick up a weapon or she'll see an object and she'll play out in her head exactly how that would be the wrong choice and lead to her getting killed. And the idea that she's always playing this sort of assassin's chess in her head is in itself a very good mechanism, but they do that to the nth degree in the final fight. And I
really liked that.
Yeah, I really, really liked that.
Also, that just really, like cinematically, I think it looks really good. Like the execution was just prior to that really great. And then, the finale is a very interesting approach where you sort of don't get what you were hoping for, but they kind of deliver something else, and you're like, actually, that was pretty cool. That's a pretty. I liked how you did that.
The filmmaking of this, I can't fault it. I thought that the way they executed this entire film was really, really well done.
Yeah, I think visually it's really great. I think like the directing and cinematography is peak. It looks beautiful. Obviously, as we said, it's got more money to play with, so they've got bigger sets. They've got the fucking robot arm cameras to do those several shots in exactly the same way. They've got more of a special effects budget. It's all just sort of
works.
Escalated a notch. I think I really enjoyed it, all told. Yeah, it's a very different movie to Furies. If Furies is the scrappy underdog upstart, this is the sort of glossy I want to say Hollywood, but glossy studio, bigger budget, bigger everything, smoothed off edges version of that. So I think, pick your poison. If you have to watch one or the other, I think there's enough info there for you to make an informed decision.
I think they would make a nice, if you're going to do a 2-film evening, I think they would absolutely pair up very well. I'd say start with Furies and then go into BOKSOON.
If you were going to do like a 2-film podcast, I think they would be
they match very well.
An absolute inspired idea for a podcast. Some might say.
If you like mums with guns, you might also like.
Look, if you watch either of these on Netflix, as soon as it finishes, Netflix will recommend the other film to you. I guarantee you. I guarantee you that much. You got an action replay for this one, Matty?
I would say, just because it was very much a joy, there is a character in this film who is a sort of chef/bartender who was an assassin, who has a fake hand, clearly, which ended his assassination career. He sees an opportunity to get back in the game when the hit is put out on BOKSOON. And of course, comically, he's going to lose his other hand. And that, for me, just the payoff of that joke and the action leading up to it was perfect.
It was very funny.
Much enjoyed that.
That was a real unexpected comedy moment in an otherwise quite aggressive action scene. I think my action replay would be in that scene where they've got the I would call it the Bad Boys 2 orbital camera that goes in a circle around the action between two rooms, and they do some really cool stuff where dividing the rooms is like a metal shutter, and and stuff kind of interacts between the two rooms. I don't think I'm selling it very well, but that bit in Bad Boys 2 where the camera goes around the gunfight, they have a bit where it goes around two rooms. They're having a big old melee, and I really enjoyed that. But also, all the action scenes are great, actually. I think the one at the beginning is probably like the least exciting, but it sets the tone in a way. And then, like you say, the one in the Russian bar is sort of gun fu. There's that 5 against 1 in the bar that's very cool. There's the end scene where it uses really interesting visuals to sort of tell the story. I think each action scene is very self-contained and very different, which I quite liked as well.
Yeah.
Whereas it maybe compared to Furies, where sometimes it's like, oh, they're in a tiny room / corridor again, and there's 10 guys. It can get a little bit like you see the budget restrictions on screen sometimes in that way. And I didn't feel that as much with Kill BOKSOON, which is why on Letterboxd I gave it 4 stars, Matthew.
I gave it 3, but after talking, I might upgrade it to 4 because I do enjoy it more.
I've talked him into an extra.
Realised I enjoyed this quite a lot, actually. It's just, I hadn't put it on my letterbox till...
No takesy backsies.
Today. What?
No takesy backsies, unfortunately. It's like in chess when you let go of the piece on Letterboxd when you post the review. No, I've done that in the past, I think, where I've kind of looked at other ratings and gone, well, I actually do think it was better than that movie. I'm going to give it an extra half star. I would argue that's why rating stuff on a numerical scale is sort of pointless in a way, isn't it? Some people just write reviews, but I haven't got time to do that. I want to give it a star, 1 line, get out.
Well, again, a little insight to your spare time there.
Yeah, so for me, like we said, a really great combo of movies. I think Kill BOKSOON for me just had the edge, but I would recommend watching them both if you've got time.
I think Kill BOKSOON is a better all-round watch, but for me, Furies is a better action watch. I really enjoyed... I'm going to say it. I really enjoyed the violence in Furies.
Yes, as an action purist, I think maybe the title goes to Furies, but as a movie as a whole, I would hand it to Kill BOKSOON. So there you go. What mood are you in?
Yeah.
ChatGPT, right? Make me a movie. All right, let's wrap this up. It's been a while, but we're back, and there's a whole slate of cool stuff.
Oh, there's some good stuff coming
our way. So hold tight. I'm going to endeavour to do our very best to get another episode up 2 weeks after this one. But if you're listening to this in a year's time, really the time between them doesn't matter, does it? So if you want to get in touch with us, you can do so via our individual Twitters and Instagrams, or you can get in touch via Dodge This Pod on Twitter, which is the Podcast Zone Twitter, which, full disclosure, is operated mainly by me, so some might say it's pointless.
Exclusively, you might say.
Yeah, okay. I was just giving you like a little bit of credit on that one. You're welcome to have the login, Matthew. He's very busy on his own feed. He could never keep up. If you've got movie recommends, always open to those, please.
Yeah, please.
Wang them at us on any of those things, because a lot of stuff sneaks past us. There's a few things coming out of that Finnish movie, Sisu, about the gold guy traveling across the country to get the Nazi. That's coming out any minute now. We got all sorts coming through.
Big blockbusters. Guardians out next week. Guardians 3.
Big old blockbusters.
Fast 10 is due.
That's going to be soon, isn't it? I might have to watch Fast 9 before.
I'm going to have to watch Fast 1 throrough 9 just to get back.
No.
I'm trying to convince my wife to watch them all, but she is very much refusing.
I mean, that I would argue that as a fool's errand, but there's probably something to it. But I think also you could probably just start at about 5.
She's away this weekend. Maybe I'll make this a Fast and the Furious weekend.
It's going to be less fast and more furious, I suspect, as you get towards the end and you haven't slept enough. And there's another completely unrealistic car stunt.
We'll see.
Anyway, we'll doubtless go and see it.
Yeah.
I get the feeling I should have faded this out.
Yeah, it should have done ages ago.
Should have faded out while you went for a piss. The listeners might not know.
You should have hard ended there.
Just a hard
It's got to
out.
be faded now. If it's not faded now,
Just
then...
a black screen.
Yeah.
Produced by Robert Wyde. That was it. All right, see you next time.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.